They expect you to stay quiet, to swallow hidden fees, put up with faulty products, and accept poor service as just the way it is. But you can demand better. Stand up, speak up, because with Which on your side, you can say no to bad business, buy with confidence, and get the service you deserve. Which, the power in you. Find out more at which.co.uk.
You know those adverts you see while browsing news websites and apps? They're part of what is known as the open display market. Instead of buying and selling ads directly, as is the case with a physical magazine, advertising in the open display market is largely automated using AI and algorithms and involves many intermediaries that buy and sell ad space, making it an easy target for fraudsters to infiltrate by creating scam ads. So let's talk about it. This is a podcast from Which. Hello, I'm Erica McCoy and I'm with Tali Ramsey, the senior journalist at Which, one of the senior journalists at Which, to discuss all things clickbait scams. Hi, Tali.
Hi.
So what is clickbait?
So clickbait is what we use to refer to headlines that are sensationalized or exaggerated to get people to click on them. But then they're actually led to articles or websites that don't correlate with the headline, so they're quite misleading. But they use often like emotive and sensationalized terms, so people are like really encouraged to click on them.
How did you go about getting into this investigation? Tell us a little bit about the logistics of it.
So I began by finding the top 5 news websites and the top 3 to 5 apps that British consumers are most widely visiting. And then for about a month, I visited these websites and apps every day and kind of browsed them to spot anything that stood out as being really suspicious, crazy headlines and images that looked like AI generated. So that's kind of how I started to find dodgy adverts.
And what we're talking about are the articles that are kind of in between. They look like articles and they've got the feel of an article, but they're not quite an article, are they?
Well, sometimes yes, and sometimes it can be a fake article, but you're led to the fake article through a real article, if that makes sense. So when you're on a news website or an app and you're reading a news story, you might see adverts dotted around, and when you click on them, they might lead to a fake article or some other type of scam.
Okay, so I'm really curious. What is the likely journey? You might have done it in your investigation. What is the journey for me as a consumer who's going onto the website? What happens next?
So you'll be on a news website, you'll probably be on a specific article. You'll be reading it, scrolling down, and then you'll see an advert that sounds appealing or interesting to you, and then you'll click on it. Sometimes you'll be led to a dodgy website that will ask you to enter in your personal details, like under the guise of something, maybe to buy a product or to invest in a scheme or to sign up to something. You might give away details such as email, phone, name, which might seem pretty
not too bad.
Yeah, not too bad. But what sometimes happen is then at a later date, you're contacted by the same scammers who set up the website. And they'll say something like, we're from your bank. We noticed that you visited a dodgy website and entered in your details or whatever. So it's kind of all connected. Or you might click on an advert and you're led to a website that instantly installs malware on your device.
And what is malware?
So malware is a virus on your computer. So it ranges from loads of things. It could be spyware that kind of is able to look at what you're doing and your bank details, or it might be something that makes your computer unusable.
Okay, so the next question that springs to mind is this legal? Is it legal to have an advert that is promoting a scam or leads to a scam?
Yeah, no, it's definitely not legal, but it's just a system that's so opaque that it's really easy for these scammer ads to pop up time and time again, and fraudsters really can easily infiltrate the system. The Online Safety Act is a piece of legislation that came into force in October 2023, And it basically makes big tech platforms, mainly social media platforms, responsible for blocking and preventing harmful content, including scams being posted onto their platforms. But what's not part of it is the adverts that we see on news websites and news apps. So the investigation was looking at gaps in the Online Safety Act. So that's what led me to look at news websites and apps.
Can you tell us a little bit about the language that is used? Because sometimes it is quite emotive. It kind of gets you thinking, it gets you maybe wanting to click.
Yeah, definitely emotive. Also, a lot of times it preys on people's insecurities or vulnerabilities. It tries to speak to specific type of people and align with them. So you'll see those like big emotive words, so people can kind of see them as they're scrolling through social media and click on them.
I don't know any brand that doesn't care about reputation. Why is it that these news websites don't seem to care as much about what's on their front pages?
So the news sites that we spoke to did say that they do have procedures in place to prevent these kind of scam ads getting on their platforms. But the way that the system works is it's mainly automated. And the news sites and apps don't know what's being put onto their platforms, so it's quite reactive. So if something's reported or flagged, then it's taken down.
But otherwise, they're not really holding any responsibility for it.
Yeah, they're not really aware. So the industry works by buying and selling ad space in real time, and that's usually done by AI algorithms. So because of this, the news websites and apps don't exactly know what's going to be presented in the form of an advert to each visitor as they visit their platform.
And this feels quite different to how traditional media works. Normally you'd work with an agency and there'd be discussions about the sorts of things that you want on a billboard or even in a newspaper, I'm guessing to some extent. Why is it not the case on these news sites, these trusted news sites as well?
Yeah, I think the main difference is it's digital. And when you're advertising on maybe a billboard or like a physical magazine or newspaper, it's done manually between people. But when it's on the internet, when it's on an online platform, it's a completely opaque system and it's done automatically without anyone really communicating with each other.
So where does the responsibility fall? Is it on the consumer to not click on it? Is it on the websites that have these ads? Is it on the agencies that are producing these ads? Where does it fall?
I think everybody involved in that chain is partly responsible. Obviously, the news websites and the apps don't know what adverts are making it to their sites, but they still work with specific advertising partners, which wants the government to commit to regulating this system in the law, which will mean everybody involved will have some responsibility and they'll have to follow legal standards to ensure that these scams aren't making it on their platforms.
Can you tell us a bit about the AI and deep fake aspect of this? Because often we'll see someone else's face and maybe a quote. So it might be like you might see Richard Branson's face next to a quote of something that he definitely has never said before.
Yeah, so AI content, which is basically content that's generated through like the writing of prompts, is obviously really popular and we're seeing it grow. And we're definitely seeing it being used by scammers and fraudsters to make their scams more convincing. In this investigation, we came across a deepfake video, which is an AI-generated video of Oprah and an actual real doctor peddling a weight loss product, which obviously wasn't legitimate. We also came across a deepfake video impersonating Richard Branson and ITV News to peddle another health scam for diabetes patients.
So just to be clear, Oprah Winfrey and Richard Branson aren't they don't know about this. They aren't part of the scams, are they?
No, they're not. Their likeness has just been impersonated to peddle these scams. We actually managed to speak to one of the doctors who was also impersonated in the Oprah video, and she debunked it.
It's really scary because lots of people would look at a picture of Richard Branson or a video of Oprah Winfrey and trust it immediately. Lots of this AI is quite sophisticated. I guess I'm curious about what people can do to kind of spot the difference. What are the things that consumers can do to kind of notice AI?
So typically we would always say look out for blinking, because the first kind of versions of deepfakes, the people weren't able to create them to blink. So that can be a good sign, or just anything that looks quite off in the video, like the hair and the lighting, or even the voice sounding really robotic. But I think the best way is just to look at is just to use other signs that it's a scam. So if it's posted from an account that's newly created or that you've never heard of, or just peddling too good to be true claims, things like that are really reliable.
And what can consumers do if they do see these sorts of ads on their favourite websites?
I think one of the main signs that an advert might be a scam is that if anything sounds too good to be true, especially sensationalized claims, pressure tactics, if you're asked to invest in something really quickly, or take advantage of a deal in like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 seconds. There's a lot of countdowns and things like that. Also, it's best to double check endorsements. With health scam ads especially, you might see that it's like endorsed by the NHS or whatever, but it's good to double check all of those things by looking at the official websites. So that can be a sign that something's a scam.
Brilliant. Thank you for your advice. It is really scary. I think lots of these, as AI gets a bit more sophisticated, I think it'll be really easy for lots of people to fall into the trap of these clickbait scams. So thank you so much for giving a bit of advice on how to avoid them. I've been joined by Tali Ramsey, who's a senior journalist at Which. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this podcast from Which, the UK's consumer champion. You can find plenty more advice about what we discussed today in the show notes. There you'll also find a link to become a Which member for 50% off the usual price, an offer exclusively available to you, our podcast listeners. Joining Which will not only give you access to our product reviews, our app, one-to-one personalised buying advice and every issue of Which magazine across the year, but you'll also be helping us make life simpler, fairer and safer for everyone. Don't forget to hit subscribe wherever you're listening. That way you'll be notified whenever we release a new episode of Which Money, Which Shorts or any other podcast we make for you. And if you want to get in touch with us, then follow us on social media at Which UK or drop us an email to podcast@which.co.uk. See you next time.
They expect you to stay quiet, to swallow hidden fees, put up with faulty products, and accept poor service as just the way it is. But you can demand better. Stand up, speak up, because with Which on your side, you can say no to bad business, buy with confidence, and get the service you deserve. Which, the power in you. Find out more at which.co.uk.